This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're back. It's the Royals POSTCAST here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chance Liebau, and I'm here to bring you reaction to every single Royals game the rest of the way. Follow me on Twitter or X at Chance Liebau. That is right by my name tag because it's a lot easier for you to see it than for me to spell it. If you cannot make a show live, don't worry. These episodes will be uploaded for you to listen to on demand wherever you get your podcasts. I want to say thank you for making the Locked On Royals podcast or the Royals POSTCAST your first listen of the day. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on our notifications so you get an alert whenever we go live. Thanks so much for joining the show, and feel free to join the live chat and let me know your thoughts on the game. And maybe I will respond to your comment. This was, I really wish I was able to do this show yesterday instead of today because yesterday's game was a lot more fun to be doing. But yesterday had a long day at work and then went out with coworkers, so was unable to do the postcast, but appreciate you guys for being here tonight. Even though obviously I think the crowd would have been a little bit better last night, and the morale would have been a lot better last night as the Royals fall in ugly fashion, 6-0 against the Cubs. And I think Jake said it best: a stark difference from last night to tonight. That was really, I don't even have words to say about that game because if you can look over, and I think I'm pointing in the right direction, if you can look over here to the rundown today, we'll go through it. Here's what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
What went well? Nothing. Nothing that the Royals did today went well. That was one of the worst all-around performances from a singular wannabe competitive team I've seen since the Royals lost that White Sox. It was one of our first games doing the White Sox games. I think it was the first game, that Friday night game in Chicago, where they booted a couple balls. They threw a couple away. They just couldn't get out of an eighth inning of horror. Tonight was about as close as we've seen to a really bad outing all around. They didn't pitch well. You can tell me, and there are going to be people in the comments that tell me that Rich Hill did a solid job. For being a 45-year-old on his 14th team and in making his season debut at the big league level, I'll give him a pass. I'll say he did all right. I thought he did fine, but he wasn't in the strike zone a whole lot. The fastball was non-competitive, and he was really just buying time. So I didn't really find myself totally impressed by Rich Hill. I know that you kind of got to grade him on a curve a little bit because he's older, because he was an emergency guy. I get that. I understand there's going to be somebody in the comments in the live chat that says, well, actually, Rich Hill pitched pretty well. He didn't give up an earned run until the last inning. And you'd be right. But I was not impressed. He got away with a lot of stuff. And, that's kind of what the Royals needed for him. And then the defense behind him was really bad. I got a lot of flack by saying I didn't think Andrew Hoffman pitched well a couple of nights ago. And then, of course, the Jonathan India error didn't help him. I can say that Rich Hill didn't pitch well. And then the Nick Lofton error did not help him. I think was there only one error on Lofton? I feel like there was two. I know he booted two balls, but he recovered on one of them. Lofton had one, Salvi had one, and then, of course, Rave had one there late. Where I was switching over from my living room into here. So I didn't see it. I just saw the runners on second. So 3 errors from the defense tonight. So you got a pretty mediocre performance from Rich Hill by a big leaguer standards. By his standards, good for him. Pound the bottom. Thanks for doing a job. By the Royals pitching staff standards, pretty unimpressive. The defense was atrocious tonight. They pretty much ran out of JV squad tonight with no Vinny in the lineup. The only thing that would have made this a worse defense would have been Tyler Tolbert in center field. That is the only thing that would have made this a worse defensive lineup. You DH Bobby, you put Michael at short, you put Lofton at third. I mean, if I'm being honest, I would have rather seen Lofton at short and Michael at third if that was what we're going with. But yeah, that was I just don't even know what obviously I know the decision making was you want lefties or you don't want lefties against Matthew Boyd. I get that. But that was a really bad all around performance. I've said it multiple times in terms of games this year. I'm going to turn my ring light down a little bit because I'm going to get a little bit hot. I've said it multiple times this year that the Royals felt like they were digging themselves out of a hole before the game even started because of the predetermined situation they put themselves in when they turned the lineup card. I don't think tonight was that. I sure didn't think Rich Hill was going to go out there and dominate. He's 45 years old. He's going to go out there and junk it up a little bit. But then the offense today, going up against Matthew Boyd, who always seems to have the Royals number, has seen them over 30 times now throughout his career. And tonight just had their, number up left and right. He had their number. He was throwing everything well. I'm going to go to I know this is bad podcasting, but here in the live chat, I'm going to go over to Baseball Savant and see the hard hit rate if the Royals had any hard hits tonight because it was a really bad hitting game. I didn't really feel like they squared anything up too much. All right, let's go to Savant. Jack hit 109. Jack had a good game tonight. I'll say that. Jack had a good game, but Boyd gave up 5 hard hits and then 2 from Thielbar, or 1 from Thielbar and 1 from Palencia. So the Royals really didn't get much. 5 in 7 innings off of Matthew Boyd, and you only walk once, strike out 6 times. That's not going to be a recipe for success, not against one of the best offenses in baseball. And credit Rich Hill for being able to pitch around his bad stuff and the bad defense tonight. That was not his best day, but the Royals lineup just atrocious. No Vinny tonight. I was surprised they left Cags in if they were going to leave Vinny out. I was surprised, or they were going to go matchups with the lefties. I'm surprised they left Vinny in or Cags in instead of keeping Vinny in. But maybe Vinny had just earned himself a day off. But yeah, lots of bad baseball tonight from the Royals, especially when it felt like last night could have been a significant turning point where they make a big comeback. You trail 4-1, you come back, you win it. Everybody else seems to, have a bunch of go yard. Tonight seems like they just blew their load last night and just didn't have enough left in the tank for tonight. So a bad offensive performance, a bad defensive performance, and the JV pitching staff did about what you expect against the Cubs lineup. All right, when we come back, we will discuss more, and we'll get to some of the listener comments. We'll discuss kind of what's going forward for this lineup, for this team in general, because they're kind of on the brink right now. You read every article on ESPN, The Athletic. Everybody says nobody knows what the Royals are going to do. I'll give you my thoughts on what they do tomorrow and then how that affects them going forward. That's coming up next here on the Royals Postcast. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. I'll open it up to you guys. What do you guys think went well? What would you guys call the highlight of the game tonight other than the fact that it's over? Because I appreciate the listener feedback and want to be a little bit more interactive here since we've got a pretty light crowd. It's Tuesday. I think we're all ready to go to bed. But just other offensive takeaways. I think that Mike Hell's really going through a bit of a slump. I have not been impressed by his ABs since that first game out of the All-Star break. I've really liked what Jack's been doing. Jack Caglione, you can say what you want about him. He's only batting 153 right now. But the guy is working his tail off right now. He's doing everything that kind of we wanted him to do, what we needed to see out of him. He's hitting the ball in the air more. He's going the other way more. And he is being a little bit more aggressive in the zone and not being so aggressive out of the zone. So I am pretty happy with what I've seen from Jack Caglione in the last week. Since the All-Star break, it's been a new Jack Caglione. It's been a new Salvador Perez, or at least one, it continues to be the same one that we saw to close out the All-Star break. So we are seeing a offensive turnaround from some guys on the team, but you're also seeing Michael struggle. Jonathan India is not hitting well. And I know I'm going to hear a lot of people talking about that in the comments. Freddie Fermin is not hitting exactly well right now. So the Royals have a lot of guys that are slumping. Vinny, after his hit streak ended, has not hit very well. I thought he had a homer no, I guess he didn't have a homer. But Vinny's been hitting not very well recently since the All-Star break. But yeah, I like what some guys are doing at the plate. John Rave. I mean, last night we weren't able to talk about it because I was out of commission, but John Rave has been a revelation maybe, at the plate ever since he switched number 16. But yeah, I've been more than impressed by some of the guys in the lineup. They're just not putting it together. The situational hitting continues to be a problem, and they're just not stringing together hits enough. Look at this lineup tonight. How many guys? 0 guys with multiple hits in the lineup tonight. That's just not going to cut it against a team like the Cubs, who Pete Carl Armstrong is going to finish top 3 in NL MVP voting, and he's their 5-hole hitter tonight. So that's just kind of where the Royals are at. They aren't going to be able to compete with the Cubs and the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Tigers. They've got to be able to compete, though, with the Red Sox and the Angels and the Rangers. Those teams in that middle tier, they've got to be more competitive with them, and they just aren't, because they aren't getting enough consistent consistent approach at the plate by a lot of these guys. So just a really rough outing by the Royals tonight. Let's get to some comments before we get out of here. Bolin saying saltine crackers have more flavor than this team. Agreed. He said, don't even talk about it. Just end the show. I don't want to do that, especially after last night when I wasn't able to be with you guys. DJ saying, have put up 7 or more runs in 3 out of our last 5. So I have some confidence, but geez, there needs to be some consistency. I agree, but I think that there's a lot of teams that go through stuff like this. I don't think the Royals are the only ones that go through it. But if there's a number to refute that, then I could be wrong. Lugo going tomorrow, maybe a little audition for the Cubs. I talked to Jack yesterday. We are on the same page. I know you guys want to say Owen Casey. I know that Ridiculous saying, please Royals trade for Casey. They're not going to get Owen Casey in the deal. They are not going to get Owen Casey for a rental pitcher. You're not going to get a team's number 1 prospect for Seth Lugo. It's not going to happen. There's not even a sweetener in that deal. You could trade Seth Lugo and the deal is, if you want to get Owen Casey, which I don't think is a good idea given the package it would have to take, you would have to give up Seth Lugo and Michael Garcia in that trade, would be what I think has to happen. You have to give up Seth Lugo in a piece to get a guy that is the number 1 prospect in somebody's organization. And that's just not going to happen. Yeah, a lot of drops. People talking about today. Bolin saying Vinny has not earned anything with how terrible his ABs have been. Now is a mental reset off day for sure. Absolutely. Vinny has had some really bad ABs ever since that Mets series. The Mets series was when it really got bad. Yeah, Vinny's been terrible since the break, and maybe just needed a day off. Okay, Obito bringing in some numbers. Tied for most allowed stolen bases in a game, 7 in a game. Yeah, bad behind the plate. And somebody brings up in the comments that it was Rich Hill. He's just not very fast at the plate, and he's throwing 82 and 72. So there's just not a whole lot that Fermin can do behind the plate. You just kind of got to pray that you don't give up a whole lot of base runners and then work from there. Robert saying, hopefully JJ has some good trades cooked up to benefit the 26 team. It's time to turn the page on the season. I'm not saying wave the white flag, but the team isn't going anywhere. And I'm going to be honest, I have a lot of faith in JJ Piccolo. I have a lot of faith in this front office because time and time again, they've proved to me that they know what they're doing when it comes to player acquisition. This year, they have just been injured and haven't gotten the development out of the guys that they needed to. MJ Melendez took a massive step back from last year. You see Michael Massey take a massive step back from last year. Hunter Renfroe, massive step back. Kyle Isbell has been about the same. Bobby Witt Jr. has taken a step back, but still all-star MVP caliber player. And then Salvi, until this last month or so, had taken a massive step back. So you had seen some guys that you had hoped would take a step forward in their development, take a step back. I still think that JJ Picollo is going to be able to go out and get guys for, this final run this year if they want to do that, and next year as well. I have confidence in JJ Picollo in this front office. This is not the Dayton Moore regime that everybody wants you to think it is. This is a crew that got Cole Reagans for a rental relief pitcher, that went out and got Lucas Ursig for a trio of prospects that one of them is probably going to be a big league ball player. And I just have so much faith in him that I think they're going to have something cooked up where we're not going to like it. I am prepared to hear some blowback on whatever trade they make. They're not going to like it because fans are short for fanatics. We fans have some idea in our head of a trade package that the Royals are going to get for a Seth Lugo or for a Michael Lorenzen, and that's just not going to happen. We're going to be disappointed with the return because we think in our heads they're going to get a top 5 prospect in an organization. That's probably not going to happen in the year 2025. So I'm trying to tamper expectations here of what the Royals could get. Somebody said, would you accept the trade if the Cubs offer you Casey and Jackson Wiggins for Chris Bubich? I don't know enough about the Cubs minor league system to say yes or no, but I'd probably say no because I just don't. I think the Royals can get a good number on Bubich in the offseason if they want to extend him, and prospects are not sure things, as Royals fans certainly know this season. A lot more comments coming in. A lot of people being impressed with Jack Caglione. Obviously, Rich Hill getting some love here, except for the fact that he's super slow to the mound. Obed pointing out that the Tigers lost the Pirates. I think the Royals are going to be chasing the Pirates, unfortunately. They're going to be chasing the Red Sox. But, yeah, if you want to root against a team in the division, I don't mind the Pirates being the one. Shane bringing up nothing good about this game. Garcia, 170-something average, last 15, 213. Vinny chases inside breaking balls. India's India, sloppy defense tonight. Yeah, I agree. I think we hit on all those points already. Braden saying, why not give Frazier any at-bats today? He can't hit lefties, and Matthew Boyd's really tough on lefties, so no reason to throw him out there. And then you don't throw him out there in a 6-0 game. There's no reason to. But, yeah, I think I'd like to see some more Adam Frazier at-bats, but that's just me personally. That is way down here on the Royals' list of issues right now. So bad game tonight for the Royals, but they'll be back at it tomorrow. I will be giving you a postcast tomorrow. They have a 1:21 pitch, so plan on being here around 3:30, 3:45, and we will get you live reaction on Wednesday. And then hopefully on Thursday, I'm hoping to, with Jack, pre-record or record something with him to come on his show, and we will maybe we'll preview the deadline or something like that. It's Jack's show, and I know that we had said Friday or Thursdays when they're off, I want to go on. So not going to speak for Jack, but if I am on Jack's show on Thursday, do not be surprised. But Shane saying blow it up, trade Salvi when he's hot, trade Garcia while his numbers look good, trade Vinny, put Cags at first. Shane, I know that this is it's everybody's fantasy baseball team to play with somebody else's organization, but there's no reason to blow it up. They are 5.5 out of a wild card. They're not. You can say this season's over. I will agree with you if you say that, but you also have to field a 26-man roster, and there's no reason to blow it up because you will sell 0 tickets the rest of the way. There's no reason to blow it up, especially with a guy that's going to get his number retired, an all-star, and 2 other all-stars. So I understand that's the pitchforks and in hoods kind of approach right now, that they kind of want to tear it all down and start from scratch. I really don't. I've endured 100 lost seasons for the last half decade. I enjoyed last season. I've enjoyed this season for the most part. Don't want to do that again where we have to watch Hunter Dozier get ABs in the 5-hole. But understand where you're coming from there, Shane. Appreciate the comments. We'll be back tomorrow in the afternoon. Set your timers. And if you can't make it, join us after the fact on the podcast. And we will see you tomorrow for another edition of the Royals Postcast.